Have you wondered what happened if a colossal ocean, bigger than all of Earth's seas combined, slammed into the moon? Not just a few drops, but 10 quintillion liters, an unimaginable number. This isn't just a wild sci-fi idea, but a fascinating question that makes you think, what would happen to the moon? Would Earth be affected? And what would we, living in America or anywhere else, witness? Let's dive into this cosmic scenario with What If Universal, where science meets imagination. First, let's break down 4 mind-blowing scientific facts about 10 quintillion liters of water hitting the moon. Fact 1. The sheer scale is massive. 10 quintillion liters, 10 to the 16th power, is 7,000 times the volume of all Earth's oceans, like the Pacific and Atlantic combined. If spread evenly, it could cover the moon in a 10-kilometer deep ocean. Picture the Gulf of Mexico, it's just a puddle compared to this. NASA estimated that this much water could turn a state like Texas into an ocean kilometers deep. Fact 2. Water on the moon isn't as strange as you think. In 2020, NASA confirmed that lunar craters hold traces of ancient water, frozen in the shadows. Some scientists believe billions of years ago, comets carrying water crashed into the moon, leaving small ice deposits. This 10 quintillion liter scenario could be an exaggerated version of those real cosmic events. Fact 3. The energy would be catastrophic. If this water hit the moon at 10 kilometers per second, similar to a meteor's speed, it would release 5 times 10 to the 20th joules of energy. That's the power of millions of nuclear bombs, enough to shake the moon's surface and send dust across the solar system. Such an explosion could light up America's skies, from New York to Los Angeles, for days. Fact 4. Water on the moon is a game changer for the future. Water is liquid gold for space missions. NASA and SpaceX plan to build lunar bases, and water can be split into oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel. If this collision creates new ice deposits, it could turn the moon into a refueling station for Mars missions, controlled from Houston or Florida. So here's our scenario. Imagine one day, a massive comet or a mysterious cosmic event hurls 10 quintillion liters of water at the moon at 10 kilometers per second. What would happen? Would the moon shatter like in a Hollywood blockbuster? Would coastal cities like Miami and San Francisco drown in tidal waves? Or could humanity find a way to harness this chaos to conquer the cosmos? This story will take you from physics calculations to heart-pounding visions, over the Grand Canyon to heated debates in Washington, D.C. And if you love jaw-dropping what-if scenarios like this, subscribe to What If Universal today. We bring you thrilling science stories from the cosmos to Earth, and we need your support to keep exploring. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's answer, what if 10 quintillion liters of water crashed into the moon? Physical impact on the moon. Let's start with the moment the collision happens. 10 quintillion liters of water, equivalent to 10 trillion tons, slams into the moon at 10 kilometers per second. For comparison, the moon's mass is 73 quintillion tons, about 7 million times greater than this water mass. Imagine a pebble hitting a giant rock. The pebble can't destroy the rock, but it leaves a noticeable dent. The energy of the impact is the key factor. Using the kinetic energy formula, E = 1/2 m², we calculate the energy as 5 times 10 to the 20th joules. For perspective, the Hiroshima nuclear bomb in 1945 released about 6.3 times 10 to the 13th joules, meaning this collision is millions of times more powerful. If scientists at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida monitored the collision through telescopes, they'd see a blinding explosion, as if the moon turned into a torch for a few seconds. The moon has no atmosphere, so water can't exist as a liquid. Upon impact, the water instantly vaporizes, forming a superheated steam cloud reaching temperatures of thousands of degrees Celsius. This cloud spreads, covering part of the moon, and reflects sunlight, making the moon appear brighter from Earth. People in Chicago or Seattle, looking up at the night sky, would see the moon shimmering like a giant pearl for days. The surface consequences are another story. The collision creates a massive crater, hundreds of kilometers wide, larger than the current Copernicus crater. If geologists at the University of Arizona studied it, they'd find the moon's surface severely disrupted, with cracks radiating from the impact site. Billions of tons of dust and rock are blasted away, some escaping the moon's gravity and drifting into space. Some debris could head toward Earth, creating spectacular meteor showers, which we'll discuss later. The immediate effects don't stop there. The steam cloud, after spreading, gradually dissipates because the moon can't hold an atmosphere. However, some water vapor could migrate to the moon's polar shadowed regions, where temperatures stay below 150 degrees C. There, the water freezes, forming new ice deposits. Scientists at NASA in Houston would be thrilled, as this ice could be a valuable resource for the Artemis missions, the project to return humans to the moon in the late 2020s. In summary, the moon wouldn't be destroyed, but it would bear a new scar, shine brighter, and gain potential ice deposits. From observatories in California, astronomers would record a new moon, its surface forever changed, ready to tell the story of this cosmic collision. Impact on Earth. The collision on the moon isn't just a cosmic event. It directly affects Earth, from the night sky to America's coastal cities. Let's explore what Earth, especially the United States, would experience. Meteor showers are the first and most spectacular impact. Billions of tons of lunar dust and rock are blasted away, some heading toward Earth. As these fragments enter the atmosphere, they burn up, creating dazzling meteor showers. At Yosemite National Park in California, visitors would stand in awe, watching hundreds of streaks light up the sky every hour. News networks like CNN in Atlanta would broadcast live, calling it the astronomical show of the century. But it's not all beauty. Larger debris could collide with satellites, disrupting GPS and internet services. New Yorkers might struggle when Google Maps stops working, or astronauts on the International Space Station would activate emergency protocols. A dust ring is another phenomenon. Some lunar dust doesn't fall to Earth but forms a thin ring around the planet, like a mini version of Saturn's rings. From the Grand Canyon in Arizona, people would see this ring glowing at sunset, like a faint, ethereal band. Scientists at MIT and Boston predict this ring would last for decades, slightly dimming sunlight. The result is a slight global temperature drop, about 0.1 degrees C, making winters in Minnesota a bit colder. Farmers in Iowa might notice shifting crop seasons as weather becomes less predictable. Tides are a bigger concern. The collision imparts a tiny impulse to the moon, shifting its orbit by 0.01 degrees. Though small, this change increases tidal amplitudes on Earth, raising sea levels by 50 centimeters in some areas. In Miami, Florida, already prone to flooding, streets like Ocean Drive could be submerged more often. In San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge would face unusually high waves, raising concerns for traffic. FEMA in Washington, D.C. would issue flood warnings, and coastal states like Louisiana could face billions in damages. The immediate impacts aren't just natural. Astronomers at the Mauna Kea Observatory in Hawaii would note the moon's increased brightness due to dust and water vapor reflecting light. This disrupts astronomical research but draws millions of Americans outdoors to stargaze. National parks like Yellowstone in Wyoming would be packed with visitors, turning the collision into a cultural event, much like a total solar eclipse. Environmental impact on the moon. The moon, after the collision, is no longer the moon we know. It bears a new face, with environmental changes lasting for centuries. The massive crater is the most obvious mark. The new crater, hundreds of kilometers wide, is larger than any current lunar crater. Scientists at Stanford University studying images from spacecraft would call it Copernicus 2.0. The surface around the crater is cracked, with fractures spreading like a spiderweb. Dust from the impact coats nearby regions, making the moon brighter when viewed from Earth. People in Denver, Colorado would notice the moon shining more brilliantly, as if someone polished it. New ice deposits are a surprising bonus. Some water vapor from the collision migrates to the moon's polar regions, where sunlight never reaches. There, the water freezes, creating ice deposits in shadowed craters, like the Shackleton crater. NASA, from its control center in Houston, would see this as a treasure trove for the Artemis program. The ice could be split into oxygen for breathing, water for drinking, and hydrogen for rocket fuel. A lunar base at the moon's south pole, planned by SpaceX in California, could become reality sooner thanks to this resource. Environmental consequences go beyond ice. Dust from the impact alters the moon's albedo, making it reflect more light. This disrupts astronomical experiments on Earth, like those at the Palomar Observatory in California. However, it also opens new research opportunities. Scientists at the University of Chicago would launch probes to analyze the new crater, studying the moon's inner structure and impact history. The moon's harsh environment now becomes a natural laboratory. The ice deposits and new crater make the moon a more enticing destination for future missions, from research centers in Pasadena to NASA labs in Florida. Impact on humanity and society. The collision doesn't just shake the moon and Earth, it changes how humanity, especially Americans, views the cosmos and their future. Cultural inspiration is the first impact. The dust ring around Earth and the brighter moon become a major source of inspiration. In Hollywood, Los Angeles, filmmakers start producing sci-fi movies about an Earth with a sparkling sky. A fictional film set in New York with two moons could become a blockbuster, like Interstellar. Artists in Nashville write songs about a double sky, while poets in Boston pen verses about the dust ring's beauty. Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee becomes a prime spot to view the phenomenon, drawing millions of visitors. A space race is a bigger consequence. The ice deposits on the moon spark a race among superpowers and private companies. NASA, from its headquarters in Washington, D.C., accelerates the Artemis program, aiming to mine the ice. SpaceX from Hawthorne, California, announces plans to build a lunar refueling station. But it's not just America. Other nations and billionaires like Jeff Bezos, with Blue Origin in Seattle, join the race. In Silicon Valley, startups develop ice mining technologies, turning the moon into the new Alaska of the 22nd century. Heated debates erupt in the U.S. Congress, with senators from Texas and Florida arguing over who should own lunar resources. Social risks also emerge. Meteor showers and satellite damage cause a technology crisis. Companies like AT&T in Dallas must spend billions to repair telecommunications networks. People in Atlanta could lose internet access for days, disrupting remote work. FEMA issues. Emergency plans, while scientists at MIT propose building an asteroid shield to protect satellites. The societal psyche shifts too. The collision reminds Americans of Earth's fragility. Activists in Portland, Oregon, call for investments in environmental and space protection. Schools in Chicago incorporate the scenario into lessons, encouraging students to dream of space careers. The collision becomes a historic moment, much like when Americans watched Apollo 11 land on the moon in 1969 from living rooms in Ohio. Long-term impacts. In the long term, the collision leaves profound changes, lasting thousands of years. The moon's orbit is affected in a small but significant way. Currently, the moon drifts 3.8 centimeters farther from Earth each year. The collision doubles this rate for a few millennia, slowly altering tides and seasons on Earth. In Maine, fishermen would notice changing fishing seasons. Scientists at Harvard University predict seasons will become more extreme by the year 3000. Twist 1. A new satellite. If the water hit at 50 kilometers per second, the collision could shatter part of the moon's crust. The debris coalesces, forming a small satellite about 1/10 the size of the moon, orbiting Earth. From Las Vegas, people would see two moons in the sky, a sight inspiring filmmakers and scientists alike. NASA in Florida would launch probes to study this new satellite, naming it Luna Minor. Twist 2. Future risks and opportunities. Millions of years later, Luna Minor could fall toward Earth, causing a catastrophe greater than the dinosaur extinction. Scientists at Caltech in Pasadena warn that America must develop asteroid deflection technology now. But there's also opportunity. The ice on the moon and Luna Minor could be mined, making America a hub for the space industry. Companies in Seattle and Austin would compete to build space mining facilities, ushering in a golden era for humanity. 10 quintillion liters of water crashing into the moon doesn't just reshape the cosmos, it shakes America, from Yosemite's night skies to Miami's flooded streets. It opens doors to conquer space but poses challenges for the future. What do you prefer, gazing at 2 moons from New York or joining the cosmic ice mining rush? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you love thrilling science stories like this, subscribe to What If Universal to explore more. What if do you want to see next? An ocean crashing into the sun or flooding Mars? Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's conquer the universe's mysteries together.